Well, normally the migration season starts at the end of July and it continues right up until mid-November. Now the most significant birds are raptors, birds of prey that come through during westerly winds. And it can be quite spectacular, especially at the end of August and throughout September. You get black kites, honey buzzards, booted eagles during easterly winds as well. A large range of species, but the numbers can be spectacular, and some days you can get thousands and thousands of birds flying low over town, gaining height over the rock, and then heading across the strait into Morocco.
And I believe that you monitor the birds. Tell me a bit about that.
We monitor it in two ways. We do some bird counts of diurnal birds migrating during the day, but we also carry out a bird ringing program that takes place at our Jewsgate Observatory, and we set up mist nets and catch birds during the mornings as they begin to move and feed. And that takes place from mid-September to about mid-November, when the majority of birds migrate through into Africa. There are also a lot of species that come, they don't migrate into Africa but stay in southern Europe, which is a warmer climate for the winter. And you get species like robins, chiffchaffs, black redstarts, which you will find around in Gibraltar during the winter months.
And I can imagine the migration can be quite tough on the birds. What should you do if you find a distressed bird?
Well, migratory birds tend to feed a lot. They put on layers of fat so that when they migrate, they don't have to stop over at all. They use those fat reserves as for the energy to fly long distances. But if we do find a bird that is distressed, then you should call the GONHS hotline or the Raptor Rehabilitation Centre, and they will come around, pick the bird and take it into care.
And you've mentioned quite a lot of species that we can see here migrating over the rock. Why is Gib such a good spot for this?
Well, Gibraltar is in a bottleneck in the Strait of Gibraltar. All the European birds tend to fly towards the Iberian Peninsula, and as they come to the end of the Iberian Peninsula, they don't like to cross large expanses of water, and so they accumulate in the narrowest areas, which is Gibraltar, Tarifa, places like that, and cross in narrow bottlenecks. It occurs here in Gibraltar. It also occurs in the eastern Mediterranean around the Bosphorus, where you get all the eastern European birds migrating through that channel, and they all converge into Africa for the winter.